I grew up around horses.
Rebecca Morrison started showing horses in Texas when she was 3.
There was like a period of about a month where I didn't have a horse. That was the worst time. Yeah, and so they're pretty much connected to my happiness. Oh, easy. Easy, Bubba.
For her,
You look pretty good. Yeah, you look good.
this farm in rural Maryland gives comfort.
People who have dogs live longer, and it translates to horses, but it's a little bit different. You know, a dog, unless you do something terrible to it, is pretty much always going to come to you. You're their pack leader. A horse is a prey animal, and so their natural instinct with humans is to be afraid of them. And so once you can actually build a trust relationship with a horse, and you come out and they run to see you, or they want to be near you, it's just so powerful because you know that someone accepts you, doesn't judge you, and listens in their own way. And they're so big.
Rebecca Morrison believes so strongly in the mental health benefits of horses for veterans and their loved ones. She follows the EGALA method.
My personal story, I've had horses my entire life.
She brought together a number of experts in their fields to demonstrate the power of equine therapy.
I was married to a soldier for about 4 years, and tragically lost him to suicide after deployment and some struggles coming home and reintegrating, and found a lot of solace and a lot of care, and really found myself again through my horse.
Her husband, Captain Ian Morrison, flew Apache helicopters.
And I know when people die, sometimes they make him into a deity, but he really was the kindest person I've ever met. You know, he took such good care of me, of his friends, of his soldiers, of his family. I'm pretty hot-headed, and he was like the yin to my yang, very calm, and took his time with everything. You know, we called him Eeyore because he was so thoughtful and slow, and everything was very steady. He actually really enjoyed being around the horses. He was a natural rider, which is made me sick because I've worked my whole life to be a good rider. He loved working out, being outdoors, playing with the dogs.
In 2012, a couple months after coming home from Iraq, Ian Morrison couldn't sleep.
Looking back, I can see that he had lots of interest in things, and that he didn't want to work out, which was his favorite thing to do, and he didn't have an appetite, and he ate like a horse. So on the look back, there are things, that I would caution others to look for. But with him, he wasn't mean, he wasn't hostile, he wasn't, angry, the things that you hear about. So it just sort of came in about 2 weeks, like a thief in the night.
The grief overwhelmed her.
Gracias.
Horses helped, but Rebecca Morrison struggled with the fact that she was a counselor, trained to see light through the darkness.
I had a lot of guilt because I thought, I'm a counselor and my husband just killed himself, that doesn't even compute, But I think through a lot of good therapy, a lot of immediate quality therapy that I got, I was able to see that I actually did everything that I could have done. I mean, he tried to get help 6 different times in the week of his death, and I was right there with him. The truth of it is you can't actually save a person. One person can't do that on their own. There has to be a community of people to help, and that's why I love all this stuff, because it brings people in, to help you, to support you. But one little wife can't fight the world on her own. It's a lot, and when it's right there in your face, it's really hard to see the gravity of it, I guess, how bad it could possibly be.
Rebecca Morrison didn't run from her recovery. She headed straight towards it. She moved to the Washington, D.C. area to volunteer with TAPS, Tragedy Assistance for Survivors, a place she turned to in the early days of her husband's suicide.
My closest friends and family were very worried. I moved from Texas up here to work for TAPS, and but it was something I needed to do. I needed to face it, and I needed to try to make a difference. And like you said, I was really prepared to do it. It's like God put me in that place. I was in school. I'm good at public speaking. Now I have the personal experience, and I'm not really afraid of anything. So go do it. Go out and take it on. I had pressed on that nerve enough that it didn't hurt me anymore.
Every day at the ranch, a reminder of her husband, Ian, is always nearby. He's a good listener.
I always think about him, that big red horse he gave to me, So, everything I do, he's in it. He was little bitty and a baby. And now he's a monster. He thinks he's a person. Ike.
Ike?
Yeah, he named him General Eisenhower.
Coming up,
reaching out is the hardest thing.
How other veterans make connections to save lives.
Everyone who gets involved sort of knows. They sort of know subjectively or qualitatively that, man, there's something really powerful here.
When WOWT 6 News, Surviving the War, Losing the Battle at Home, continues.